Hi everybody. Uh, we have to conclude our discussion on the unit of ecology, and the last in this series is chapter number 16, which is environmental issues. Right, 13, 14, and 15 have already been discussed. Right, organisms and population. Then we did biodiversity, and the last one that we did was ecosystem. And the one which is remaining now is environmental issues. Right, this one is a big favorite with the students for the simple reason that it has a lot of topics which have been already covered at the school level. Yeah, all your pollutions, the greenhouse gases, the ozone layers, right? All those projects in school ICSE which were not done by you and by your parents. Now, as I said, this topic of environmental issues discusses mainly pollution. We have air pollution, water pollution, what are solid wastes, and a few other topics. As I said, greenhouse, global warming, ozone depletion, right? But the three ones, the main ones, right now, the air, water, and solid waste. Now, obviously, the topic starts with what is pollution, undesirable change in physical, chemical, biological characteristics of air, land, water, right? And these are brought about by substances which are called pollutants. The Environment Protection Act by the government was passed in 1986 to improve the quality of our environment. Now, the topic starts with air pollution and its control. Uh, Obviously, a very essential element without which we cannot survive air. It, if it gets polluted, it will affect the respiratory system. The harmful effects will depend on the concentration of pollutant, the nature of pollutant, the duration of exposure, and the organism. Of late, before this pandemic started, right, we had incidences of huge levels of pollutants in cities like Delhi, where schools and offices and colleges were closed because of the high levels of particulate pollutants in the atmosphere. So we are dealing with a problem which has a great magnitude. Now, when you have smokestacks of thermal power plants, smelters, and industries which release particulate and gaseous air pollutants. So they are talking about two types of air pollutants, particulate and gaseous air pollutants. They must be separated or filtered out before releasing the harmless gases in the atmosphere. Now, they have given us two methods to do that. One is an electrostatic precipitator and the other is a scrubber. The electrostatic precipitator mainly for filtering out the particulate pollutants and the scrubber for gases. Now, the electrostatic precipitator can remove over 99% particulate matter present in the exhaust from a thermal power plant. Now, the structure has been given in the diagram above. Nothing very complicated about it. It has got electrode wires that are maintained at several thousand volts, which produce a corona that releases electrons. Corona is electrical discharge. Right? These electrons will attach to dust particles, giving them a net negative charge, and the collecting plates are grounded, so they attract the charged dust particles and thus filter it. Whereas a scrubber can remove gases like sulfur dioxide. So exhaust is passed through a spray of water or lime, right? Obviously, particulate matter of size 2.5 mm micrometers is of great concern and also the Central Pollution Control Board, right? The central authority which looks after this issue of pollution, right? The particulate size 2.5 called as PM 2.5, right? You must have seen those big boards at different locations, the cities, which no, they give out those figures of uh, various indices of pollutant. One of them is PM 2.5, you have PM 10, you've got NO2, and the other gases also. But PM 2.5, because they are very small, very fine particles, they can be inhaled deep into the system, obviously causing a lot of respiratory issues. Now, a topic of air pollution cannot be complete without mentioning automobiles as a major cause of air pollution. Now, maintenance of automobiles along with the use of lead-free petrol or diesel. I know petrol, diesel as of today is a very sensitive topic. Last 17 days, we've had continuous increase of petrol and diesel prices. And for the first time, we had diesel overtaking the price of petrol in Delhi. Just read today in the papers, right? So lead-free petrol can reduce the pollutants. You can have catalytic converters. Right now, they are made up of platinum, palladium, rhodium. They are catalysts. They are fitted into automobiles for reducing emission of poisonous gases. So the unburned hydrocarbons, they are converted into CO2 water, and the carbon monoxide and nitric oxide are changed to carbon dioxide and nitrogen gas because of these catalysts. Obviously, the thing to be remembered is when using a catalytic converter, we have to use unleaded petrol because the lead in the petrol will inactivate the catalyst. Now, along with air, right now, उसी act में, right now, which was coming into come into force in 1981, noise pollution also was included, right, in the same act, same legislation. The high levels of noise, obviously noise, measured in terms of decibels, right? Uh, Chronic exposure to loud sounds can cause sleeplessness, increased heartbeat, altered breathing pattern, right? Which are again very dangerous in the long run. Now, after every pollution का discussion, right now, air pollution होने के बाद they have given a case study, right? कि यहाँ पर they have given a case study of Delhi, that how they managed air pollution in Delhi, right? उसके बाद भी we have seen so many instances of peaks of air pollution, right? Herein they discussed the use of compressed natural gas, right? Now all the buses were switched over to CNG, right, by the end of 2002. Just imagine, Nietzsche, you are reading a book which is of 2019 and 20, and यहाँ पे you are discussing data which mentions 2002, right? Now I'm just suppressing my laughter. You may ask the question why CNG is better than diesel. The answer is it burns more efficiently, like unlike petrol, diesel, right? It's cheaper than petrol or diesel. Obviously, the problem is that delivery through distribution points is a little difficult. Also, phasing out of old vehicles in Delhi, use of unleaded petrol, use of low sulfur petrol and diesel, catalytic converters, stringent pollution level norms. All these were methods which were used by the government, implemented by the government of late. They even implemented the odd even number plate system. Uh, Also, the government of India, through a new auto fuel policy, has laid down stringent norms for fuels. That means they are steadily reducing the sulfur and aromatic content in petrol and diesel, right? You have Euro 3 norms which stipulate that sulfur should be at least 350 parts per million and 150 ppm in petrol. And this gradually has been on the reduction. The goal is to reduce sulfur to 50 ppm in petrol and diesel. And diesel, man, bring it down to 35% pollution, come ho jayega usse, right? Mass emission standards, they got as Bharat stage 2, which is equivalent of the Euro 2 norms. right? We have steadily progressed. You can see this table. We from BS2 we went to BS3 and BS4, and for some inexplicable reason they've skipped BS5, and now in 2020 we have implementation of BS6 also. So these norms become more and more stringent to reduce the pollution levels in the atmosphere, right? So that is all that has been mentioned about air pollution. Now, water pollution, uh, obviously, when we talk about water pollution, we're talking about the industrial effluents, the domestic sewage that lead to polluting the water bodies where these are discharged, right? So all human activities will cause the ponds, lakes, streams, rivers, estuaries becoming polluted in several parts of the world. So जैसे we had a legislation, a law for air pollution, we have a legislation for Water Pollution Act also, which was implemented and enacted in 1974. Mind you, these dates, these laws, the names are important to remember, please. You can see there is a small graphic here which explains that impurities which amount to 0.1% also, which includes all of these. Just 0.1% impurity in the sewage right now makes it unfit for human use. Right? Clearly mentioned here. Mere 0.1% impurities make the domestic sewage unfit for human use. Now, when we come to chapter number 10, right, that's microbes in human welfare. How do you use microbes? One of the major uses of microbes is for sewage treatment plants. We allow this domestic sewage, the waste which is generated out of homes, offices, right? We direct before discharging them into the larger water bodies, they are directed towards the sewage treatment plants. Now, these sewage treatment plants use physical methods and biological methods to bring down the toxicity, to bring down the toxicity of this sewage. And then the relatively less toxic is then discharged into the water bodies. So, solids are relatively easy to move. What is difficult to remove are the dissolved salts such as nitrate, phosphorus, and other nutrients. Now, here we would be talking about one point which is called as BOD, right? The biochemical oxygen demand. Now, have a look at what they mentioned here. Domestic sewage has biodegradable organic matter. What do you mean by biodegradable? Which can be readily decomposed using bacteria and other microorganisms. So, what do the bacteria do? They multiply using the components of sewage. Now, to explain the relationship between BOD and dissolved oxygen, ये देखो ये वाला diagram दिया हुआ है. This is the point of discharge of sewage. Right now, this is the direction of flow of the water body, and this is the concentration of the sewage. Right now, यहाँ पर sewage discharge है. So, look, see, the blue line is representing the BOD. The red line is the dissolved oxygen. Can I see at this point, when at the point of sewage discharge, the dissolved oxygen kitna kam? Why? Because the concentration of the sewage is highest at this point. So what is happening? The microorganisms, right now, they utilize the oxygen and they they break down this sewage, they decompose it. So जितना ऑक्सीजन है वो यूज अप हो जाता है, इसलिए at this point you find dissolved oxygen एकदम कम है. But as you see as the water body flows, what is happening is dissolved oxygen धीरे धीरे बढ़ रहा है, और बीओडी जो यहाँ पर बहुत ज्यादा था, यानी यहाँ पर ऑक्सीजन की डिमांड बहुत ज्यादा थी. क्यों थी? क्योंकि यहाँ पे सीवेज का मैटर ज्यादा था. That's why the oxygen demand was very high at this point. But as the dissolved oxygen keeps on increasing, the BOD keeps on decreasing. Right now. So BOD is a measure of pollution in the water. So higher the BOD of water, higher is the polluting potential. Always remember this, please. Right? जितना BOD ज्यादा रहेगा, उतना उस water body का polluting potential is more. Right now, so they both are sharing a inversely proportional relationship. Right? So I hope this graph here is clear to everybody. This is explaining the BOD. ठीक है, BOD again would come when we talk about that microbes in human welfare wala thing, right? Now again we will be talking about BOD there also. Fine. Now, presence of large amount of nutrients in water also causes excessive growth of free floating algae, planktonic algae. It is called algal bloom, right? It causes deterioration of the water quality and fish mortality. Obviously, oxygen use up kar lenge, right? Now, some bloom forming algae extremely toxic to human beings and animals also. Uh, you see those excessive growth of water hyacinth, right? Ecornia, as we know them. They also cause blocks in our waterways, right? It is the world's most problematic aquatic weed, also known as the terror of Bengal, growing abundantly in eutrophic water bodies. Sewage from our homes as well as from hospitals are likely to contain many undesirable factors. See, now they're discussing sewage from all points now, right? Now, पहले in general discuss किया, now अब from homes as well as from hospitals. Obviously, if they are not disposed properly, can lead to outbreak of waterborne diseases like dysentery, typhoid, jaundice, cholera. Right? Unlike domestic sewage, wastewater from industries is going to have a different quality. Like petroleum industries, paper manufacturing, metal extraction, chemical manufacturing, they'll have toxic substances. Right now, heavy metals, elements with density more than 5 gram per cubic centimeters. Mercury, cadmium, copper. Now, अब इसका क्वालिटी एकदम अलग है ना. A few toxic substances often present in industrial wastewaters can undergo biological magnification. Right? Now, certain substances, they cannot be metabolized, they cannot be degraded, they cannot be broken down. So, metabolize नहीं होगा. So they start moving up the food chain. Aquatic food chain में they start moving up. Phytoplankton में आया, फाइटोप्लैंक्टन ने इसको यूज नहीं किया, जू प्लैंक्टन में गया, उसने उसको मेटाबोलाइज नहीं किया, नहीं कर सकता है, isn't it? So जैसे जैसे it moves up the food chain, the amount of that substance starts increasing. That means gets magnified in that chain. They have given an example of DDT here. देखो, वाटर में DDT का लेवल 0.003 parts per billion. But as it gradually moves through the chain, एकदम ऊपर fish eating birds में it is 25 parts per million. So from 0.03 parts per billion, it has gone to 25 parts per million. This is called as biomagnification. अच्छा, birds में see वो तो top level है. अब top level के ऊपर कैसे जाएगा? What will happen to the top level carnivore now? High concentrations of DDT will disturb calcium metabolism in birds, which will cause thinning of the eggshell, premature breaking, causing decline in bird population. So this phenomena is termed as biomagnification. Another breakout of water pollution is a process of phenomena called as eutrophication. Right? See, there must be many schools who must have discussed these topics right now at school level itself. Now, eutrophication is natural aging of a lake by nutrient enrichment. Right? A newly formed lake, the water is cold and clear, supporting very little life. It does not support life. So streams continuously drain into the lake. They introduce nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus, encourage growth of aquatic organisms. So lake का fertility बढ़ेगा, right? Plant animal life बढ़ेगी. जैसे plant animal life बढ़ेगी, organic remains, plant animal remains will start getting deposited at the lake bottom. Over a period of years, what will happen? Organic debris pile up. The lake will become a little shallow. Material जमा हो रहा था, जो deep lake था वो shallow हो गया, right? Organic matter जमा हो रहा है. It becomes warmer with warm water organisms also replacing the other ones now, right? Marshy plants take root in the shallow and begin to fill in the original lake basin, right? Ultimately, what will happen? The entire lake will give way to form a mass of land. Obviously, depending on the climate, the size of the lake, and other factors, the natural aging of the lake may take on thousands of years. But ultimately, that this natural process is eutrophication. But this process is accelerated by human activities. Right now, ये natural course पे पूरा young lake getting converted to a mass of land, right? Over a period of thousands of years. This is eutrophication. But pollutants from industries and homes can accelerate the aging, and that is called as cultural or accelerated eutrophication. Cultural or accelerated eutrophication, right? So several lakes have been severely eutrophied by sewage and agricultural industrial waste. Again, the culprits are nitrates and phosphate, which are plant nutrients which support the growth of plant, overstimulating the growth of algae, robbing the water of dissolved oxygen, and which is very vital to aquatic life, right? So a lake can literally choke to death by means of this process. Apart from this, thermal wastewaters coming out of electricity generating units, thermal power plants, as they called as, right now, they eliminate or reduce the number of organisms sensitive to high temperature. They enhance the growth of plants and fish in extremely cold areas, right? But not without causing damage to the flora and fauna of that area, right? As I said again, पूरे pollution topic को discuss करने के बाद they have a case study. जैसे air pollution में they had discussed Delhi वाला example. यहाँ पर they are discussing one example in the town of Arcata, which is in California, right? They the people created an integrated wastewater treatment, right? Now, two stages where the entire thing was a conventional sedimentation, filtering, and the chlorine treatment was given. Still, they had a lot of pollutants. So what they did, they developed a series of 6 connected marshes over 60 hectares of marshland. राइट ना, उसमें बहुत सारे algae, fungi, बैक्टीरिया सीड किए उन्होंने जो pollutants को न्यूट्रलाइज कर रहे थे, राइट? सो एज द वाटर वाज फ्लोइंग, इट वाज गेटिंग neutralized and purified naturally, right now. So to maintain that, they had a group which is called as Friends of Arcata Marsh. It's called as FOAM, right now. So they have given a case study of how integrated wastewater treatment can be done to improve the quality of water in a particular area, right? So we talked about two types of pollution. We talked about number one, air pollution, number two, water pollution, right? Remaining in the next video.